You've probably spent a good portion of your life wondering why certain things feel so different for you than they seem to for everyone else. Why a conversation that drained you completely left someone else entirely unbothered. Why you notice details that no one else even registers. Why your mind connects ideas in ways that feel completely logical to you but seem strange or overwhelming to the people around you. You've maybe chalked it up to personality or sensitivity or just being a little different. But psychology and neuroscience are beginning to suggest something more specific. Some brains are genuinely wired in ways that diverge from the majority, not in ways that are better or worse, but in ways that are measurably, functionally distinct. And the signs of that difference have been showing up in your behavior your entire life. Here's what the science actually says. The brain is not a one-size-fits-all organ. Research in cognitive neuroscience has consistently shown that variations in neural architecture, sensory processing, and information filtering create real and significant differences in how people experience the world. These aren't imagined differences or dramatic exaggerations. They are structural and functional variations that shape everything from how you process emotion to how you handle noise, crowds, ideas, and time. And for people whose brains work outside the typical range, the experience of daily life can feel quietly exhausting in ways that are almost impossible to explain to someone who doesn't share it. The first sign is that you process sensory information more intensely than most people around you. Sounds feel louder, lights feel brighter, textures feel more present, and environments that others find perfectly comfortable can feel genuinely overwhelming to you. This isn't sensitivity in the emotional sense, it's neurological. Researchers studying sensory processing differences have found that certain brains have a lower filtering threshold, meaning more raw sensory data gets through to conscious awareness without being screened out. Most people's brains are constantly discarding information before it reaches full attention. Yours is letting more of it in, all at once, all the time. The second sign is that your mind makes connections between completely unrelated things at a speed and frequency that surprises even you. You're listening to someone talk about economics, and your brain immediately links it to something in biology, then to a conversation you had 3 years ago, then to a pattern you noticed in a film last week. This cross-domain thinking is not random mental noise. Neuroscientists have identified it as a feature of brains with particularly dense and wide-ranging neural networks, where ideas stored in different regions are more easily and rapidly connected. It can feel like chaos from the inside, but it is actually a form of cognitive architecture that produces unusually creative and original thinking. Third, you have a complicated and deeply personal relationship with time, not in a philosophical way, but in a practical, daily, almost maddening way. You either lose track of time completely when engaged in something interesting, entering a state researchers call hyperfocus, or you feel like time is moving strangely, either too fast or too slow, depending on the situation. Neurologically atypical brains often have differences in the dopamine systems that regulate time perception and task engagement. This means that the standard structures of schedules, deadlines, and transitions that work effortlessly for most people can feel genuinely unnatural for you, not because of laziness or poor discipline, but because your brain is tracking time through a different internal mechanism. The fourth sign is that you feel emotions with a depth and physical intensity that can be startling even to yourself. It's not just that you feel sad or happy or anxious. You feel those things in your body, in your chest, in your throat, as a physical weight or warmth or pressure that others seem to process far more lightly. Psychologists studying emotional intensity in neurologically divergent individuals have found that heightened limbic system activity is a consistent feature in brains that work differently. Your emotional experiences are not overreactions. They are accurate readouts of a system that is simply calibrated to register feeling at a higher resolution than average. Fifth, you think in a way that doesn't follow a straight line, and that has caused problems your whole life in environments that reward linear thinking. School rewarded one type of mind. Most workplaces do too, but your thinking spirals, branches, loops back, and arrives at conclusions through routes that make perfect internal sense, but are nearly impossible to explain step by step to someone else. This nonlinear cognitive style is not disorganized thinking. Research on divergent thinking, the ability to generate multiple solutions and pathways simultaneously, consistently shows that brains operating outside typical patterns score significantly higher on creative problem-solving tasks, even when they struggle with conventional structured formats. The sixth sign is that you have always found small talk genuinely difficult, not because you are shy or socially awkward, but because your brain is built for depth. Surface-level conversation requires a kind of cognitive downshifting that feels effortless for most people, but genuinely uncomfortable for you. Your mind wants to go further, ask more, understand the layers beneath what's being said. This preference for deep engagement over shallow exchange is a recognized feature of brains that process meaning more extensively. It often leads to feeling lonely in crowds and deeply connected in one-on-one conversations that go somewhere real. And the seventh sign, the one that perhaps captures all the others, is that you have spent most of your life with the quiet, persistent feeling that you are experiencing the world slightly differently from the people around you, and you've never quite had the language to explain it. Not worse, not better, just different. Like everyone else is reading from a script you were never given. What neuroscience and psychology are now making clear is that this feeling is not anxiety or imagination, it is perception. Your brain is genuinely processing reality through a different lens, filtering it differently, feeling it differently, and making meaning from it differently. The challenge was never that something was wrong with you. The challenge was that a world built for one kind of brain asked you to perform as though you had it, and you've been quietly translating ever since.